Guys, it's your boy AD. Book of video 93 video Goblin with Naruto was hajime's reincarnation finale. Now I know I haven't uploaded in 10 days or something like that. That's because I was doing something that you guys will see in the next What If I'll be doing, which will be a movie. But yeah, apart from that, after this video is uploaded, I will be working on What If Naruto, which is with Naruto is inspired for the Akatsuki, a new series, and What If Naruto was irons and but cursed by God. So yeah. Anyways, hope you guys enjoy, and yeah, let me know if you guys started this series so far, and if you want me to continue this series. Not fucking hell. Just let me know if you guys started this series so far, and yeah. Anyways, go ahead and let me know any suggestions for any future series that you guys might be interested in. And yeah, also just question of the day, how many of you guys have pets, or like basically pet owners, like have dogs, cats, turtles, all that stuff, fish and everything? Just yeah. Anyways, for further ado, let's get the video started. The last spot we left off for this series was after Naruto and his team basically killed all three of the false gods, being Susanoo, Amaterasu, and Tsukuyomi, as Naruto ended up not only killing Susanoo but also absorbing him and the other three gods, gods and goddesses, as this caused Naruto to become somewhat a new god, as he then ended up basically getting together with Susanoo, not Susanoo, Yami, Kami, and Shinigami, and basically they ended up basically making the 6 other continents basically advance and stuff like that, basically making a giant empire of all 6 of the continents of the world, except for the 7th one, which was basically sealed off, being the elemental nations. As then, however, as they were ruling, the moon suddenly changed color and became red with black turmoils all over it, making the infinite Tsukuyomi cast upon the entire world. As this made everyone in the entire world, including the other 6 continents, basically go into the dream. However, the only difference was that in the elemental nations, they were not only in the dream, but they were also put in a cocoon, which basically sucked the chakra out of them. However, for Naruto and the 6 other continents, they were only put in the dream, with Naruto's team not being put in it. As this, however, basically stopped everything from moving and everything, so causing Naruto to basically deciding to go to that elemental nations, knowing that this was where the issue was. As this caused him to go there, where he ended up meeting the one and only Madara Uchiha. As unknown to him, there was also a few people that were still awake in the elemental nations. Those people being Sasuke Uchiha, who had used the Susanoo from the Sharingan that he gained to basically give him the ability to block out the Tsukuyomi, and doing so caused him to be able to protect not only Menma Uzumaki Namikaze, also Mito Uzumaki Namikaze, Kushina Uzumaki / Namikaze due to marriage or whatever, Minato Namikaze / Uzumaki due to marriage, Kashi Hatake Tsunade of the Senju, Jiraiya of the Sannin, and what's it called? Fucking hell. What's it called again, bro? Yeah, basically that's about it. As yeah, doing this also gave them a chance to basically move away from Madara, as Madara did not realize that they were not in the Tsukuyomi. So they had basically took a step back to rethink to the plans. However, as the group, the Leaf, I'm gonna call it the Leaf group because they're all from the Leaf Village. As the group of the Leaf Village basically went to go back into battle, however, they saw something that made them stop. They saw the sky basically break apart, as then a group of various people came from the sky itself, as this made them basically take a step back, thinking that the guys themselves were getting involved, which they were not really that wrong about. Just they were not expecting those specific gods, as they had been thinking that either Shinigami or Kami herself had basically decided to basically come and stop this man from doing this madness. However, they were kind of wrong, but also kind of right at the same time, as they watch in very great shock as they saw the group basically slowly float down towards Madara, who basically waited for them with the truth singer also behind him already, of course, as Madara saw this man that was in the front being Naruto, looking like Hajime, of course, as Naruto basically stepped forward, walking on the air, as he arrived in front of Madara, saying, "Who are you?" As Madara smirked to himself, thinking that someone would not know his name. Like, he was very shocked that someone didn't know his name or who he was, basically, because he was very, very, very famous in the freaking shinobi world, obviously. As he basically smirked, saying, "I am the ghost of the Uchiha clan. I am the great Madara Uchiha, or the next sage of the sixth path." As Naruto kind of just stared at him for a while before he then said, "Well, whoever you are, you have caused some basically unfortunate, if you have done some unfortunate events that basically caused me to get involved and basically be asking you to basically get rid of that jutsu that you have casted in the entire world." As Madara laughed to himself, saying that no, there's no way I would ever do that, as I spent a lot of time working on this, basically his whole life, whatever, working on the Tsukuyomi, Infinite Tsukuyomi, to basically cast this jutsu will basically cause world peace and basically make everyone happy. As Naruto kind of glared at him, saying that you're doing something really stupid and that basically he's just enslaving everybody and whatnot. As Madara and him had a small little disagreement, long story short, as this caused Naruto to basically say he's gonna beat his ass, as he walked back to his team. As Madara basically kind of just stared at him for a bit, as Madara then asked for his name, as Naruto said, "I am Naruto." Fucking hell, I didn't think of a name for Naruto. Oh shit. Wait, hold up. Shinigami, no. Fuck that. Naruto basically just says that he's Naruto, the emperor of the world, basically, of the six continents, whatever. Yeah, I'm Naruto, the emperor of the six continents. As Madara was quite curious to this, as he would say, "What do you mean by that? What do you mean by six continents?" As Naruto basically said that he is the emperor of the six continents outside of this one, being the seventh continent that he doesn't have control over. As Madara would basically kind of have a gleam in his eyes, thinking about all the strong opponents that could be from those continents. As he was thinking about going around and spreading his, like, basically seeing what the continents were like, and see if there's anyone that would be worthy of fighting him, basically. Even though he put everybody in the Tsukuyomi, he would basically measure their powers by the level of chakra and see if there's anyone that could fight him. If there was, he would basically free them to have a good battle with them. As now, as however, that thought came to a stop when he realized that he said he was the emperor. So he was thinking that Naruto must be the strongest over there, unless they were doing political stuff. As which it did not seem like it. As Madara basically smiled, saying, "So, since you're the emperor, would that mean that you're the strongest person from these 6 continents?" As Naruto simply nodded, saying, "Yeah, what's it to you?" As basically Madara laughed, saying that he wants to basically fight him to have a great battle of the ages. As Naruto simply stared at him as he pointed his gun at him, saying that if you fight me, you're gonna die, basically. As Naruto, as then Kami basically put a hand on Naruto, saying that that's not polite and shit like that, and that basically they should introduce themselves as well. As the girls went on to introduce himself, with Kami basically saying that she's, Kami, basically the goddess of the world or whatever, that, rules the life, basically, and yeah, all that stuff, light and all that stuff like that. As then Shinigami went saying that she's the goddess of death, basically, ruling all death since basically such like stuff like that, basically. And then not Tsukuyomi, Yami went saying that she's basically the goddess of the moon, kind of, who basically rules over like kind of nature, but not really. Basically, just like can like cause she's like basically kind of the in between of the two, kind of, but basically more physical stuff, basically, instead of like soul related stuff and stuff like that. Well, yeah. As basically Naruto would then basically tell Madara that he's giving him one last chance to basically back off from this and basically cancel his Tsukuyomi, which Madara laughed at and said that no, he's not gonna do that. As he then decided to make his point even more clear, as he basically used one of the choosing orbs to throw it at Naruto, who basically caught it with his metallic hand, which is not really metal, it's just like a different, what's it called, it's a different type of metal, but yeah, which did surprise Madara greatly, seeing as it should have evaporated this like to dust or whatever. As however it didn't, due to Naruto basically having celestial like powers, basically like goddess and god powers and whatnot. As Naruto then threw the choosing orb right back at Madara, which blocked Madara's vision for a second, which was all Naruto needed, as he basically shot one of his guns from like one of his bullets or whatever from the small little gun, as this hit Madara on the shoulder, basically blowing off the top of his shoulder off, basically. However, Madara, having this very, very great regeneration, quickly healed as he caught the choosing orb himself with one of his hands, as it quickly became a staff, which he used to basically launch forward and sought to battle with the whole Naruto and his team. As we skip over to the team from the Hindi village, as the team heard Naruto say his name, Minato and all of them basically quickly realized that this could be Naruto, their son, as they had been over the years. When after Naruto left, basically what happened in the Elemental Nations was Minato had slowly started to realize what was happening, like what happened basically. Like he had used, however, he, instead of admitting it, like that he was basically shitty, and like he basically realized it before Naruto left, but like when he did, it kind of threw him off and basically made him basically use that as a way to work and shit like that, and basically use it as strength, kind of. Like he basically used it to force himself to do stuff, which ended up in him slowly expanding the hidden leaf village to taking over the other hidden villages slowly over time. As after like a few years, basically, he ended up taking over the whole of the continent, basically making it an empire. But it was still basically just the leaf village ruled by, but ruling basically all of them. As this basically made Minato, become kind of a workaholic and shit like that. But yeah. But also he became kind of more arrogant, thinking that a lot of shit belonged to him. However, for Kushina, it was kind of the opposite. She became kind of I wouldn't say, she basically became, basically like, she was very deprived. She basically could never really get Minato to basically have sex with her and whatnot for like a long time, as Minato was just working the whole time. So she was basically deprived and shit, and basically was very tempted to basically cheat and whatnot. However, she stopped herself due to basically her clan being like very low and whatnot, and so that would be very like be disrespectful and whatnot against her clan and basically Minato. And so she basically ended up basically kind of just throwing herself into that stuff, and yeah, just trying her best to basically get over it, but not really. As however, Mima and Mito over the years kind of became a bit more distance, as Mito ended up basically missing Naruto a lot. However, Mima was quite angry. Like he hated the fact that his whole family basically collapsed and changed completely because of Naruto just death and stuff like that. And so he was very angry about this. As for Jiraiya and Tsunade, they had became quite, how would I explain this? They became a bit more like a bit more different, I guess. Not really, it's really hard to explain, but like they basically became a couple, but like it was more of a false couple, I guess. As yeah, basically yeah. As Naruto, Naruto, as he basically started to fight Madara, who was somehow basically keeping up with them, because they were not really fighting him seriously. They were just basically toying around with him, as he was still getting basically blown up like left and right, like limbs and stuff like that were blowing up every like 5 minutes. But he quickly healed them and all that stuff. So that's basically that whole, basically the basics were happening right now. As the Hidden Leaf group watched this battle, they saw how the team was dealing with Madara quite easily, beating him to an inch of his life every 5 minutes, basically. As they start to basically slowly push it in to basically go closer, as they wanted to see if this was really Naruto, and if it was, they wanted to keep Naruto for themselves and try to basically force the whole team to basically stay and serve them, mainly Minato, to basically stay and serve them, as using Naruto as a way for them to stay. As the battle continued for about 30 minutes before Madara was basically drained. Like he had been healing for 35 minutes basically straight, as he could not really heal half as much anymore, and was only slowly healing with all his limbs basically missing and half of his lower body part basically missing as well, as mainly just his chest and head was still there. However, before the team could kill him, basically, Black Zetsu, quite literally slip on the ground and slip back out of it and stab Madara in the back, as this caused the giant Madara to become like a giant ball of chakra, which then was taken over by the one and only Kaguya Otsutsuki. As she came out, this put everyone on the Leaf side to their knees. Just the amount of power that was not really contained like Naruto's and the other goddesses, that basically crushed the Leaf team to the ground. As this, however, caught Naruto quite, how do I say, he basically got more interested, basically, as she was much stronger than Madara, as she ended up basically raising her hand, saying how Naruto was special. She was basically saying that Naruto was what's it called? Her son. No, never mind. No, that was for Memma. Memma is the condition in this one. But yeah, she was basically raised her hand, saying that Naruto is special, but that Memma and Sasuke were her son or whatever. She then saw that Naruto was obviously the greatest threat here, and so seeing that Naruto was the greatest threat here, basically she raised her hand, saying, "All killing Ashbone." This this launched out multiple bones from her back, which basically came from like her back and basically go to her hands. I don't know how she did that shit, but yeah, it basically did that and launched forward towards Naruto and his team, but mainly Naruto, as realizing that these bones were quite dangerous. Actually, Naruto and his team ended up basically dodging them, with Naruto blowing up some of them using his gun. As then the team started to fight Kaguya as well. Basically, she ended up using her eyes, her third eye, the Rain Sharingan, to open up portals, which ended up opening to like different dimensions. Some of which were, example, the gravity dimension, which basically pushed them all down. However, surprising Kaguya was that the gravity had way bigger of an effect on her than it had on the team, and so she quickly changed dimension, realizing that she was a greater disadvantage in here than they were, and so basically pushed them in like the lava dimension and all of the other dimension, the ice one, and so on. Which, when they were put in the ice one, was quite annoying to say the least to some of them. However, Shinigami and such were not really affected, as she was quite literally, yeah. As then Kaguya had tried a different road of basically splitting them all up and then fighting all of them separately. As however, unexpectedly for her, it did not really work, as she still got beaten up by each one she tried to fight, basically. As yeah, as after basically getting to the last one being Naruto, she ended up basically getting captured. As yeah, Naruto basically tied her up literally with one of his abilities, and basically they had a little chat in the dimension, and she ended up agreeing to basically joining them, as he explained what he was doing, making the empire to basically take care of the world and so on, and could nurture the earth and so on like that. And she agreed to this and also accepted Naruto's help. And so over the time, which was like a couple hours in there, they basically opened back the portals for each dimension, which all the goddesses and all the other people basically came back from and unite basically. And as they were about to leave, after Kaguya had cancelled the Infinite Tsukuyomi, as they were about to leave from the battle, basically they were stopped by the Leaf team, as they arrive, surrounding them with a whole army of basically the whole army of the fourth great ninja war, basically surrounding them, saying that you should not go any further and you should basically join us, basically. As Naruto basically pointed his gun at Minato's head, saying that if you don't let me go, I will blow your head, basically, I'll blow your skull and whatnot. Like, basically blow his head out or whatever. As basically, Minato kind of was a little bit surprised before he didn't say, "Aren't you Naruto Uzumaki?" As Naruto basically gritted his teeth, which gave Minato the basically knowledge saying that this was definitely Naruto. As he basically ended up saying that you are fucking hell. You are a ninja of the Hidden Leaf Village and shall be put back into duty, basically. As Naruto gritted his teeth, knowing that before he had left, he had actually became a ninja. As Naruto said, basically, no, I don't care if I'm basically what is with sister as one, I will basically not join the village. As Minato said, the laws basically say that you must. Otherwise, I heard that you said that you are the empire. It could cause great, basically, danger to them by basically declaring war on them due to this basically being like a political, like basically a political issue, whatever. As it's fucking politics, bro. Anyways, as this caused Naruto to kind of laugh to himself, saying that you have absolutely no chance of fighting my empire. But if you want war this bad, then I will give it to you. As he basically said that he will basically fight them to not basically like leave him the fuck alone, basically. As Minato kind of was taken aback by this, thinking that he would be scared to fight them. However, he was clearly not. But Minato, thinking that Naruto was just being weird and whatnot, like a child basically, he basically was like, whatever, I'll just basically beat them really quickly. As this basically made the team basically vanish in a basically flash of light, being from Kami's ability to basically use lights and so on, as she basically teleported them back to the Empire, which they ended up basically celebrating, freeing everybody and explaining to everyone what happened. And they also got the support of everybody to basically go in a war for this. And yeah, as they got basically everything ready to not only war but also to party for freeing everyone and so on, and just putting everything back to normal in general. As meanwhile, in the elemental nation, there's a summit being called in the new empire of the Leaf, basically council, being Minato in there obviously, but also some other people, being the 10 heads and the former Kages. As yeah, as they were in there basically discussing this event of war, as the former Kages were quite surprised that there was gonna be war, as they thought war was completely done. Like literally, there would be like zero war except for like a civil war or something like that. As this surprised them, but they kind of were a little bit worried due to basically hearing that he had 6 continents under his control. But people like Aniki being stubborn, thinking that this village was too big to be destroyed. Even though he did not like Minato that much, at first he was still very much confident in the strength of this place. And something similar for the Akage. However, he didn't really hate Minato like that. He just like wanted to basically be able to be faster than him someday. And May just wanted to basically bed him basically. But they were having an affair behind Kushina basically, so yeah. And which is part of the reason why Kushina never really got a chance to, do Minato again. whatever. And yeah, as we have a skip over to the Uzumaki estate where we see Kushina basically comforting or crying Mito, who was crying about the fact that Naruto was still alive this whole time and never came back, and basically was like really cold towards them and whatnot. So he basically wouldn't come back to her and stuff like that. As yeah, as we have a time skip of about 2 months later when we see the war was happening. The whole world, not the whole world, fucking hell. Well, actually, yeah, the whole world was at war because like 6 continents versus one. Yeah, the whole world was at war. As this war was happening at the elemental nation itself. The whole war started with various ninjas, thousands of them, running on water, trying to go to other element, no, other elemental nations, the other nations, fucking hell, the other continents, to basically, basically take on groups of them by themselves, like just cause massive chaos, basically, in the ranks and whatnot. However, they were quickly completely defeated and basically were pushed back by many giant ships and stuff. Basically, ships and submarines and even planes basically going and bombing the whole place up, which caused Miyato to quickly realize that they had done a mistake. They had messed up greatly, very, very badly. As over the 2 months, over the 1 month actually, because 1 month was just planning and the other one, and then the war started. So it's been going on for 1 month. With the Leaf Village realizing quickly that they were on the losing battle here. They had great numbers, not really great numbers compared to them, and they had basically chakra and whatnot. But they quickly realized that they were still very much inferior to them. Not only had the other team had mana, which they didn't really have here in the Elemental Nation, but they also had greater technology than them. As such, they basically quickly ended up kind of trying to do like a all-out war to basically distract them so that they could try and assassinate the head, like basically Naruto, the Emperor. As this was currently what was happening. As we see Naruto standing on top of a mountain or hill, basically, with his girls basically behind his back, and the entire side of his army behind him, like way behind, as he was staring down at the whole gigantic army that was made of basically the whole continent of basically the ninja nation, as the elemental nation, basically as he stared down at them, as he then basically put his hand up, as he pulled out a giant minigun, saying that he shall end this war in one go. As this basically, he started to basically spray the entire like army, just spraying everywhere, like millions of bullets, just shooting, fucking hell, just basically shooting everywhere, bro. As then there was some other guns there, basically like some rocket launchers and such that he gave to the other girls, basically as they ended up helping him with Kami and such, just shooting a bunch of beams of light that just exploded in impact. The Shinigami sending out the puppet to basically sweep out the souls. And yeah, and basically Yami basically controlling like the air itself, like the wind, basically to basically like attack them, like basically taking out the oxygen and such, and suffocating some of them and just like straight up ripping them apart, or making their blood burst just to controlling the blood itself. As this continued for about a whole day of them completely destroying the army, with their army also going in as well, but mainly the front line with like the stronger people and not the weaker ones, so basically little to zero casualty. Most of them were just hurt from the previous battles, but not really that much casualties. As after this great attack, they had even went on as far as to not only go to Mount Miyaboku and the other summon realms, but also destroying them as well, completely ending chakra as a whole, with the only being capable using chakra being Kaguya Otsutsuki, who had, after the battle, used her powers to completely absorb all of the chakra back into herself, causing this whole elemental nation to be nothing but a empty wasteland, which then was completely destroyed by Kami herself, as she used a gigantic amount of light beams used quite similarly to a whole sun that completely crashed into the whole continent, completely destroying it. As this was the end of the Hidden Lake village and the whole of elemental nations, completing the prophecy of making it so that there was no longer 6 continents as the Toad had dreamed about. He had chosen the wrong path, as it seems. Instead of saving the elemental nations like they wanted, they ended up destroying themselves by their own greed and their own action of negligency. As this ended with Naruto basically going back to his like empire, basically his palace and whatnot, as he ended up basically having a whole like massive group like orgasm type shit with all the girls basically, including Kaguya, who ended up draining Naruto, basically saying that she wanted to marry him. And yeah, this basically caused them to get it on, as after like years, the 6 continents basically stayed like permanently together, basically like permanently allied and whatnot, and just no more war type shit. Basically, there's still some crimes here and there, but like they were handled so quickly that you could literally walk all day and all night, no defense on you, and you would be completely fine. Like literally that safe. Like there was like the crime rate was like so rare that even if you did somehow get involved in one, you basically would survive basically no matter what. So yeah, as Naruto basically kind of ruled the world basically, mainly as himself. However, he could go into a spiritual like form that could wash the entire world, as after about 2 years he had sons and daughters, which basically slowly grew with much strong as himself. As yeah, he basically ended up ruling the world for basically ever, until one day he would decide if he wanted to pick a successor, which would be one of his sons or daughters. However, this is not a story of Boruto, as so we're not gonna go into that, as this is the end of the series, with Naruto ending basically happily. As yeah, obviously they became immortal as well, if I didn't say that. But yeah, anyways, as yeah, this is the end of the series. Hope you guys enjoyed. And again, the question of the day is, if you are a pet owner, and what is your pet and whatnot, like just how long you had it and stuff like that. Like yeah, just tell us about your pet basically. Again, I will be doing What If Naruto was a spy for the Akatsuki next, and What If Naruto was Ainz but cursed by a guy basically. And yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna be off for now. Peace.